Hey, Cogno Movers. So it's February. And as we all know, February is considered the month of the amore or love. Well, and there's all the Cupid and the hearts and Valentine's Day. So this can be a really difficult month for people who are having relationship struggles. It's a weird month. If you're fighting with someone, do you get them a gift? If you're just dating someone, do you get them a gift? It's one of those weird months. So with Cogno Movement, we decided to shift it just a little and actually make it the month of relationships. Because whether you're in a relationship and it's going good or bad, that relationship has ebbs and flows, up and down, day in and day out. We all know it's kind of work. Or if you want a relationship and you don't have one, there's that daily struggle too. You get your hopes up and then you're deflated, or you don't put yourself out there like you need to, and then you're upset about it. Or you're in a brand new relationship and it feels great, but there's going to come that time when one day it doesn't, and how do you handle it? But let's move a little further than that. Relationships are everywhere in our lives. Even if you're a devoutly single person, you still have relationships. You have relationships with family members, parents, children, siblings. You have relationships with people at work. You do. Think about it. You've got your work bestie and your work enemy a lot of times, and somewhere in between. You've got a relationship with your boss day in and day out. You may be the boss and you have relationships with people that are working under you. You have relationships with your pets. You do. And sometimes that relationship is good and sometimes it's not. So what's the common thread between all of those relationships? It's you. Yesterday, I was talking to somebody who's close to me who was really struggling. And the struggle was with one close family member. But then she revealed that she was also fighting with her spouse and also fighting with friends. Very common. Who's the common denominator? It's you. Here's something we discovered with Cogno Movement very early on, that when we changed one person, we changed their nervous system, and that's what Cogno Movement does. It changes the wiring in the body. And let's say we changed that body around money. That person would find that often the minute they walked out the door, the relationship with their spouse was different. Or they got a call from their mother who they hadn't talked to in 40 years. Or a sibling called and asked if maybe they could have coffee when that had been a really rough relationship. Why? Why would that happen? What would the correlation be between clearing a pattern around money and the relationships? Well, it's interesting because relationships have everything to do with the patterns that we're running in our own bodies. I know you're going to argue, well, no, because they're wrong and they're doing it, and but maybe true. But what we've seen again and again is the pattern that changes in one body changes the whole relationship. Why? Because every relationship functions on the premise of a calibrated loop. Do you know what a calibrated loop is? I'll tell you. It's where there is the same action on either side. It's calibrated. I do this, so you do that. And because you do that, then I do this. Well, because I did this, then you're going to do that, and round we go. We've talked about this so many times. You ever have the same argument with the same person for years? Maybe it's just with yourself. It's because you're reacting to each other's nervous systems. You're rarely reacting even to what that person says. You know that this happens even if it's a new relationship. Why? Because what that person says may cause a reaction, pull the alarm bells in your nervous system from something you experienced long ago, maybe before you have any memory of it. that told your nervous system, woohoo, you know, the fire's on. We need to run, fight, hide, get bigger than. So all of a sudden you're fired up, you're lit up, or you're desperately hurt. And you're not even sure why. The person may have said something to you in a wonderful intention, and you took it as something hurtful, painful, because your nervous system's reacting. Now imagine that person said the exact same thing and your nervous system was cleared of that old pattern. There'd be no reaction. You'd actually be able to take it in through your auditory nerve and process it for what it is in the now. That's the thing, everybody. If I could help you to understand even one thing, in most relationships, you're rarely reacting in the now, in the present. You're just not. Your nervous system is reacting to all the stimulus, everything that's happening. If you ever come home from work and you're tired, and somebody at work maybe has been irritating you, fighting with you, and the minute you come home, you get in a fight with your spouse, what do you think that's about? Are you reacting in the now to your spouse? No, you're reacting to the fight at work, but it's more than that. Here's something so fascinating. It turns out that MIT did a study along with HeartMath Institute that you have this 6 to 8 feet of field around you. We call it your field of potential. Many people call it other things. But this field around you in which, your heart rate can be perceived by another person. It's actually like a radio signal. But another thing happens. Your cortisol level can be emitted or is emitted into that field, your cortisol. So when you come into that 6 to 8 foot perimeter of your spouse, so that means you could be 16 feet away from this person and they might be able to sense your cortisol levels are high. What does that do? What does it do? It alerts their nervous system that something's off. Think about a pack of antelope and the lion is at the back of them. How does the antelope at the front know to start running? I mean, they may be many, many meters or yards away. This one starts to emit the cortisol, run, fight, hide. And the next one and the next one and the next one. They just transmit that signal all the way to the front. Humans do it too. Conversely, if you have the tool like of Cognomovement, where you know that, you know what, that person at work irritated me and they're probably just getting on some nerve, really. You know how we say they're getting on our last nerve? They seriously are affecting our nervous system. So you might say, okay, I got it. That person annoyed me and there's probably a reason. I know that it's probably in my nervous system somewhere. And you could take your ball and just do 5 minutes in your car, moving your eyes, clearing out that sensation in the body, because it's really about the sensation in the body. And by the time you come home, your nervous system's calm and softer. And you've likely activated your ideas and inspiration centers of your brain. And when you get home, now your spouse feels that. They feel the energy in your field. And this is not a woo-woo thing. It's a scientific thing. They feel that, and now their nervous system gets to react to that, to ideas, to inspiration, to calm, to ease. Now your pets are reacting to your field too, even more. Do you know that animals can detect long before even medical science can, a low blood sugar drop, a seizure, many other things in the physical body. Why? Because dogs have hypersensitive olfactory glands and even auditory, but they can smell our hormones in our field, our chemicals. Well, really, so we can for each other as well. But when you come home, even your dog knows if you're in a calm, centered state or activated, irritated. So this is true of every relationship in our lives. So what's wonderful is that now we know as Cogno Movement practitioners and users and, just Cogno movers in general, those of us who have this tool, that we can change that instantly. And we also come to know that our relationship problems are always on us. Is it always our fault? No. But if it's happening in your space, it is active somewhere in your nervous system. You are reacting to it. When you clear that emotional pattern, literally the physical nervous system changes on that subject. The thing that was bothering you before, the person that was bothering you, isn't a match. They don't really get what they need out of that relationship. They're not getting the calibrated loop. They're no longer getting, I do this and you do that. Nervous systems become addicted to this kind of behavior. Even though it can be terrible, it's super familiar. That's the truth of these patterns. They're very familiar. And they become who we think we are. We may think we're a rageaholic. The truth is that's not it at all. Just our nervous system is always turned on fire. The fire alarm's always pulled, and the nervous system's always in fight or flight. That can be changed. It's not a logical mind thing. It's really just simply a pattern that can be shifted. And those of us who know how to do it know that it becomes a relationship superpower. So this month, for the month of February, the Cogno Movement team is doing some amazing things. 5 of our fantastic practitioners, Jitty Jablonski, Gemma Gannon, Katie Wrigley, and Coral Simpson, and Annette Villaverde have volunteered to do Relationship Fridays. So in the members community, Cogno Movement members community, every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time, there will be a mini relationship tune-up. So 10 or 15 minutes, you guys can get in there. They'll each have a topic and a subject, and you can work that through. Also, February the 12th, Bill and I are doing a free 1-hour relationship tune-up in the Cogno Movement members community. Now, to be a member of the community, you need to have worked with a practitioner and they will have provided you your ball, or have basic training, or have purchased your ball before basic training. If you have any one of those things, you qualify to be in the community, and all of this free stuff is yours during the month of February. And then on March 5th, we will be having a full day relationship workshop where we will be clearing this stuff out, every kind of a relationship in your life. We will be clearing out the patterns in your nervous systems that are making your relationships less than what you want to be. So even if your relationships are good, if you want them to be fantastic, or you'd like to cultivate new relationships, including friendships, including partners, including business and work, including pets, this event is for you. So if you're not part of the members community yet, or you wonder if you are, reach out to info@cognomovement.com, and Leah will help you figure out if you are a member or how to become a member. Otherwise, you're welcome to come to free Cogno Hour. That's happening twice a month. And this month it will be focused on relationships as well. So during the month of February, that will be 7 relationship-related Cogno Movement segments. So join us. Now, one last thing before I go. Practitioner training is starting this month, Cogno Movement practitioner training. And Cogno Movement practitioners, including Bill and I, have saved so many relationships. And I'm not just talking about husband and wives. There have been many of those. But parents and children seem to be a big thing. Work relationships, so many. Because we have the skills and the tools to help at least one person in that relationship change their nervous system patterns, which changes the whole pattern. But many times we get to work with both people. And when that happens, everything changes rapidly. My favorite stories are those who the people don't just reconcile the relationship, but they truly fall back in love with each other. Everything is stripped away, and their bodies literally are able to recognize the person they fell in love with, not just the new and old ugly patterns that have been created, where they're not even interacting with each other. They're just interacting with really corrupted nervous system programs. Those are my favorite. My next favorite is those where it has changed the relationship between a mother and a child, or a father and a child. Those are huge, and that is lifelong lasting. So if you think this is something you might be interested in doing, please reach out to us, info@cognomovement.com, and get right on enrolling, because we're starting February 5th. So we'll talk to you guys very, very soon. Enjoy the month of February. Be the love that you really are. And if you're finding it difficult, pull out your Cogno movement ball and do a quick session and see if that shifts everything.